It did work. Yeah. This is Paul. I'm just making sure this works. Can you see it? Yeah. I just got done with dinner and it was one of those really good dinners at a Lutheran church where I did have multiple desserts. Do you ever go out and start eating and you think to yourself, well, there's a ritual of purity in Judaism, and the Tumah, the ritual impurity. Oh. Now, this purification that oftentimes happens because of dead bodies, yeah. Leprosy and issues from the sexual organs. Yes. Now, contact with or even being in the presence of a corpse results in the highest degree of ritual uncleanliness. But let's say you want it to be unclean, and your thought was, I like being around the dead, so as to, well, cause myself to witch or gypsy. Now, there are those in Judaism that say when you visit with the dead, you can end up in Hades, the underworld for those that don't have a Messiah. The Jewish nation still waiting for Messiah. There's probably umpteen millions upon millions of them in the. They're just sitting there waiting for that day that the Messiah shows up to release them from the keys of death and Hades. You've been spending time with some dead people. I had a really nice conversation during dinner where I was almost sure that somebody had exhaled a spirit upon me as if they had been practicing some sort of, well, occultism. Let's say you're Kabbalistic, so you're you need to see in the underworld to find out what your deceased relatives are doing because they're there, because there's no Messiah in Judaism. And you've been talking to the deceased ancestors of yourself, have you? You know, there is always this big question about the menstruation of a woman. Leviticus 18:19. Then food becomes unclean when being harvested and coming in contact with water, dew, oil, wine, milk, or blood, or honey. The Talmud often mentions the concept of purity in connection with moral and spiritual development. Purity is one of the grades on the way to the spirit of holiness. AZ 20b. For you that have your Talmud, isn't it about 15,000 pages? Or is that the Torah? I've known quite a few Jewish individuals. You've been talking to your deceased loved ones that they're not in hell and they're not in heaven. You're Jewish. You're waiting for the Messiah.